Chapter 2. Kristen Bernadette is the center of who I am. Captivating her mentally and emotionally has always been and always will be my number one goal in life. Nothing is more important to me than fulfilling that goal. Soon after Kristen has come along into my life, my brain has been commissioned to build me a physical form whose mind, body, and spirit belongs to my alter ego, an individual whose name was Tyler Jonas Smith, but went by the name TJ. My physical form would occupy two different worlds. One world was an alternate universe made up of different cinemas of various genres except horror. The other was the universe physically occupied by TJ. In this universe, my physical form was called TJ. TJ's world currently revolves around me. I am a very dominant force in his life right now. When I say jump, TJ says how high, and if I say I want to captivate Kristen mentally and emotionally, it is up to TJ to figure out how that will be done, whether it be by making Kristen laugh or cry. Should TJ fail to meet my demand, he shall be punished severely. Apparently, TJ believes he can get help by making me into a physical form. Perhaps he believed that giving me a physical form will appease me somehow, making me less intimidating. Perhaps TJ thinks that he can somehow gain control over me if I have a physical form. Perhaps TJ believes that I'll be entertaining in some way if I have a physical form. I, however, am determined to see to it that TJ does not have any fun until my demands are met. At a very young age, TJ was first beginning to learn about showing affection from a family consisting of a mom, a dad, 3 boys including TJ, and eventually twice as many girls. At this period in his life, TJ would also learn to read from a children's book series about animal characters whose names begin with each letter of the alphabet. These characters would collect objects which began with the letter beginning their names. From these two influences, TJ developed the idea of seeing people as the alphabets beginning their names. Years later, TJ began playing basketball for a local recreational league. By this time, TJ had begun to associate the 26 letters of the alphabet with the number corresponding to their alphabetical order. One season when TJ played basketball, he chose the number 11 as a tribute to a girl he'd known from a local theater camp whose name was Kelsey Milligan. This would help TJ to have more fun on the court. To TJ, basketball was not only a friendly competitive sport, but an art. TJ considered his team and his opponents to be working together to create entertainment for the spectators. When the season was over, TJ would think about pursuing other arts such as songwriting, storytelling, illustration, character design, and character development. Having spent a large portion of their lives without television, TJ and his siblings were given the opportunity to stretch their imaginations and create their own means of entertainment. TJ soon developed himself as a character called Number 11, who would follow around an imaginary version of Kelsey that TJ created in his head before eventually becoming my physical form. It was through my physical form that I was given the ability to think, feel, and pursue other goals besides captivating Kristen mentally and emotionally. As a standalone character, my physical form occupied a universe made up of different films of various genres except horror, released on the 11th day of different months throughout different years. TJ referred to this as a cinematic universe, or Cineverse. The Cineverse was simply an alternate version of TJ's universe, where TJ, his family, and friends could mingle with movie characters as unseen or background characters of films that constructed the Cineverse. From this alternate world, my physical form could communicate with TJ in the regular world through TJ's thoughts. Whenever TJ would put on his old number 11 basketball shirt, which still fit pretty well after several years, my physical form would be whisked out of the Cineverse and occupy TJ's universe going by the name TJ. TJ and I refer to this as going into TJ mode. TJ and Kristen crossed paths following the enrollment of TJ's youngest sister Keita, born 7 years after TJ, in dance lessons at Starroom Arts Dance School. When TJ first laid eyes on Kristen, she was just a face hidden in plain sight among a group of others. It was after Keita joined the Starroom Arts Dance Company and Kristen was given the title Big Sister in relation to her as part of the company thing that TJ began to take interest in Kristen alone. This probably didn't sit too well with Keita's 5 actual big sisters. I, however, began feeding off of TJ's thoughts about family life and marriage. Soon, I was badgering TJ with the idea of bonding with Kristen somehow. TJ regarded his family as a secret society, and being given such a title as sister or brother in relation to any of the members within the society somehow made you part of it as far as TJ was concerned. Many values in TJ's family were generated by a religion that sought to unify the entire human race. The members of this religion were known as Baha'is. 2 years after his youngest sister enrolled at Starroom Arts, I managed to convince TJ to begin taking hip-hop classes there as well. TJ agreed to this on the condition that his younger brother Ryan and sisters Michelle and Deborah, who are fraternal twins, would join as well, even though they'd eventually drop out, leaving only TJ and Keita. As a result, I would get to spend time in Kristen's presence more frequently. Sometimes, TJ would bring my physical form to his dance lessons, where it would get many chances to interact with Kristen, but pass them up to my disappointment. TJ often tries to distract himself from fulfilling my goal with school, family, religion, and other goals which he claims are important to him, but I like to argue that I am the most powerful force in TJ's life. Or so was the case until very recently, as my physical form laid eyes on Cheryl that one time. TJ had seen Cheryl on many occasions, as she had been enrolled in Starroom Arts since she was a child and had once played the Sugar Plum Fairy in the Starroom Arts hosted production of The Nutcracker. After that one evening, however, TJ would never be able to look at Cheryl the same again, and because of his TJ characteristics, neither would my physical form. TJ might have been able to handle his feelings for Cheryl if it hadn't been for the feelings of guilt and shame that followed as a result of a conversation he had with his mother. In this conversation, TJ's mother warned against repercussion, which was sure to follow any physical intercourse with Kristen or Cheryl, highlighting it as an act of betrayal to their parents. Of course, my goal didn't require any physical intercourse to be fulfilled, and as far as TJ was concerned, betraying Kristen and Cheryl's parents would be like betraying his own parents. The very thought of disappointing Kristen and Cheryl's parents and his own parents to an extent was so agonizing to TJ that it brought tears to his eyes. TJ found comfort in thinking of Kristen and Cheryl as works of art like songs or stories. Any physical intercourse with Kristen or Cheryl without joining in some kind of partnership with one of them would constitute some form of plagiarism. By drawing from certain memories, including a couple from his childhood, TJ came up with the solution of responding to his feelings for Cheryl the same way he responded to me, by taking his physical form, labeling it with the symbol remotely related to Cheryl's identity, and then developing a personality for that character. This other physical form would occupy another Cineverse, no doubt made up of films released on the third day of different months over the years. Apparently, TJ wanted me to be friends with his feelings for Cheryl. So naturally, my physical form wants to be friends with that of TJ's feelings for Cheryl. Perhaps this was a new way for TJ to celebrate life after being given such a vivid picture of losing it to forces like me. Perhaps if I could communicate with TJ through his thoughts, I could also communicate with his feelings for Cheryl. When I asked TJ if this was possible, he said it sure enough was. My new friend and I soon began communicating via chat, email, and telephone. The only thing we couldn't do was physically interact with each other. When my friend came to my address and I went to greet him, he wasn't there. TJ said that to see my friend in person, I would have to set up some kind of mechanical process to make him appear out of thin air. Since my world was constructed of a variety of films, I had access to things that were certainly not available in the regular world, from magic to super advanced technology. It was after TJ saw the sci-fi superhero action film Zip Zap with his younger siblings that he and I managed to formulate a plan. "Psst, TJ," I hissed, waving my hand to get his attention. TJ came shuffling out of his classroom along with a group of his fellow students who filed past him. He was wearing a black and white striped shirt and clutching the straps of his backpack. "TJ!" I hissed again. TJ jumped in surprise and looked around quickly. His eyes then fell on me and his face lit up in delight as he hurried in my direction. Grinning, I beckoned to TJ, who followed me through the double doors which led out of the bustling lobby. As we made our way through a sunlit parking lot on the campus of a place known as Palmetto Technical Community College, TJ began to talk about the sociology class he had just taken. "We were just discussing family and marriage in my sociology class," said an excited TJ. "That's good to hear," I said. "Any chance you'll be talking about identity soon?" "Yes," said TJ. "We have yet to cover that in religion as well. We have a quiz coming up soon." "Well, make sure you study hard," I said. "You can even come and study with me if you need to. Just call or email me." We stood waiting at an intersection, watching cars roar by us on the street. When the traffic light signaled for us to cross the street, TJ and I both raced across, where a bunch of chain restaurants lay in the square. I turned to face TJ. "I can splurge this time," I said. "What do you want to eat?" Something quick, TJ said. Maybe like a burger or some fries and a drink. TJ, I scolded playfully, you need to be eating healthy food, not that fast food garbage. TJ chuckled. Maybe when I have more time you can take me out to dinner, he said. If you help me, I'll take your whole family, our whole family out for some fine dining, I said. It'll all be on me. Why, thanks, number 11. That's really nice of you, said TJ. Don't mention it, I said. We made our way through the parking lot to a hamburger restaurant and entered. As TJ ordered his lunch, I handed him a $5 bill before going to sit down and wait for him. As I waited, a high-def plasma television hanging from the ceiling caught my eye. A news reporter was given a report about a guy who was hit by a radioactive force named Jonathan Matthews. I sure hope he's okay, said TJ. The government seems to be trying to hush this all up, and they're not saying what happened to him. He seems to have just vanished into thin air. Oh, he's fine, I said casually without thinking about it. How do you know that? TJ asked. I don't, I said. Don't lie to me, number 11, said TJ, grinning slyly. I made you, and I can see right through you. Okay, I said, half resigned, half amused. I saw it in the movie. What movie? Asked TJ. I'll show you later, I said. But first things first. Did you bring that device your brother built? Yes, said TJ. He unzipped his book bag and pulled out a package. Best not to open it here. Yikes, I said, winking. Hope people don't think we're smuggling some kind of paraphernalia or something. TJ threw back his head and laughed. Put that thought out of your mind, okay? He said. Now, there are instructions on how to work this thing. Did you test it? I asked. How would we test it? Asked TJ. I have no reason to zip backward and forward in time. Good point, I said. I guess I'll be testing it then. You'll be needing this as well, said TJ, removing a peach-colored basketball t-shirt with the number 3 on it in black from his backpack. So, how did you get our brother to build this thing? I asked. Oh, Ryan just designed it, said TJ. I actually built it. I told Ryan it was for a story I was working on. Nice, I said with a chuckle, pulling out my checkbook and writing TJ a check for $3,000. TJ took the check and looked at it with excitement. Thanks, number 11, he said. I put a DVD of Zip Zap on the table with TJ. Don't tell anyone about the DVD, I said. It contains secret information. Let me ask you a question, number 11, TJ said. If you can travel anywhere you want and you like Kristen and Cheryl, do you think you could go and visit with them or possibly take me to see them? Nah, that wouldn't work out, I said. Besides, you already had me follow around an imaginary version of Kristen. Didn't you also want me to meet up with your feelings for Cheryl? Right, said TJ. Good luck, TJ, I said, getting up and leaving TJ to eat his lunch. You too, number 11, said TJ, waving as I left the restaurant. My heart was racing with excitement as I made my way to an airport near the coast of South Carolina by taxi. At 2 in the afternoon, a plane would take me back to my hometown. During the wait, I was forced to give up my physical form to TJ's feeling for Cheryl, as the black number 11 shirt I wore was removed, tucked into a backpack, and replaced with the peach-colored number 3. The physical form of TJ's feeling for Cheryl seemed to have developed a different persona from my physical form. He walked with more of a bounce in his step than my physical form. People smiled at him, and he would smile back as he made his way onto the plane. As the plane ascended toward the heavens, this other physical form sat watching out the window, humming show tunes to himself. At 5 o'clock, the plane landed at an airport in my hometown. The physical form of TJ's interest in Cheryl was transported to my Cineverse address, a large, upscale apartment complex. Taking the elevator to my floor, the physical form of TJ's feeling for Cheryl strode cheerily to my door and knocked rhythmically. After a minute and a half of waiting, the physical form of TJ's feeling for Cheryl reached into his pocket, extracted a set of keys, unlocked the door, and entered my apartment. The room was a large living room with plain walls and couches pushed up against each one of them, surrounding a coffee table. Off the side of the living room was a sliding glass door that led to a small balcony with chairs on it overlooking a wide cityscape. In the corner of the room sat a work desk sporting a desktop computer where I spent a lot of my time working or communicating via social media. Around the corner from the living room were doors and openings which led to the kitchen, one of the bathrooms, and my bedroom. The physical form of TJ's feelings for Cheryl removed his shirt and my physical form was returned to me. I reached into my backpack and pulled out the package TJ gave me and unwrapped it. It appeared to be a complex watch of some sort with an assortment of buttons and knobs on it. I reached down for the folded piece of paper which had fallen to the floor as I unwrapped the device. I unfolded the paper and began to read. Step 1. Strap the device tightly around your arm. Step 2. Input the time to which you want to travel. Step 3. Point your arm east to go backwards in time and west to go forward. Step 4. Repeatedly click the large red button as rapidly as you can. I strapped the device around my right arm before putting in the time. I decided that I'd be traveling back to an hour before my friend's arrival. Pointing my arm east, I clicked the large red button on the device as rapidly as I could repeatedly. At first, nothing seemed to be happening. Then suddenly, there was a faint, high-pitched whizzing sound which grew louder and louder. A rumbling accompanied the whizzing sound which became almost deafening. My living room soon became a series of shapes which slowly blurred and seemed to melt together. My body felt like it was being stretched out, similar to the way my brain did that evening when I saw Cheryl. The colors blended into blackness, and then it stopped suddenly. My legs felt like rubber as the background around me began to bend and stretch like a surrealist painting. My stomach churned ferociously as I fell to my knees. Slinking along like a slug, I made my way to the bathroom, seized the side of the porcelain bowl, and puked out my gut into it. I began screaming at TJ to put on his sports t-shirt to bring me into TJ mode. My vomiting resumed as I clutched the side of the toilet bowl for dear life. Soon the background disappeared around me and was replaced with TJ's bedroom. TJ was sweaty and out of breath, apparently having come back from a running track at a schoolyard down the street from his house. This was far better than what I felt after using the time travel device. Back at my apartment in the Cineverse, I found myself lying in a puddle of my own vomit. I hoisted myself up off the gray, smooth tile floor, blinked, and looked around. The sick feeling had completely gone, as did my extreme dizziness. Removing my shirt, I mopped the sick off the side of my face and left the bathroom. After taking a shower in my second bathroom, I put on a new pair of jeans and a new black number 11 t-shirt from my bedroom closet. I sent for housekeeping to handle the mess in my first bathroom. Half an hour before my friend's arrival, I waited on the living room couch, excited. As soon as I heard the rhythmic knocking on my front door, I sprang up and ran to open it. There on the threshold stood my friend number 3. He looked at me and gave me a warm, twinkly-eyed smile. "Hey," I said, holding out my hand for him to shake it. "Glad you finally made it." Number 3 threw his arms around me and embraced me. "It's so good to actually see you in person," he said. "Well, come on in then," I said, breaking away from him and gesturing him towards the inside of my apartment. Number 3 entered, looking around. "This is a very nice place you have here." "Thanks," I said before gesturing at a couch. "Would you like to sit down?" Number 3 removed his shoes, swept towards one of the couches, sat down, pulled his feet up, and crossed his legs Indian style. "So," he said, "how have you been, number 11? "I've been great," I said, sitting down across from number 3. "What do you do for a living?" asked number 3. "I've been selling logo designs," I replied. "Most of my money comes from collecting royalties." "Wow," said number 3. "It sounds like you're doing all right." "What about you?" I asked. "What do you do?" "I make puppets and sell them," said number 3. "It's really fun." "I imagine," I said. "Do you get many visitors?" number 3 asked. "Not really," I said. "Most of the time I just go to other people's houses." "Whose houses do you visit?" number 3 asked. "Fellow Baha'is and their friends mostly," I said. "They often ask me where I'm from and about my family. I just say I'm from TJ's hometown and show them a picture of TJ's family." "Well, they're technically your family too," number 3 said. "That's true," I sighed. "I just wish I could spend more time with them more often. I get to see them when I'm in TJ mode." "You could switch places with TJ in any cinematic universe," said number 3. "After all, they are just alternate versions of the regular world with some slight changes." "I know," I said. "I just wish I could explain to them the nature of our existence in the cinematic universe. I feel like there's a greater purpose out there for you and I." Number 3's eyes suddenly began to twinkle. "There is someone in my cineverse who knows our purpose for being here," he said. "Her name is Pearl, and I want you to meet her." "How's that possible?" I asked. "I don't know," said number 3, "but she said she'd explain it to us after making me promise to come and get you first. Apparently there's something she wants us to figure out together. Why not come with me, and I'll introduce you to her?" "Come to your cineverse?" I asked. "You'll do it, won't you?" number 3 said, clasping his hands and giving me a goo-goo-eyed smile. Please, please, please come and meet Pearl? That doesn't sound like a bad idea, I said. Yeah, I'll do it. Number 3 flew off the couch and punched the air with excitement. Yes, he hissed. He then embraced me and said, you will be so happy you agreed to this, number 11. Okay, then, I said. When do we leave? As soon as you're willing to, said number 3. We can leave tomorrow for all I care, I said. Excellent, said number 3, throwing up his arms, jumping into the air, and clicking his heels with excitement. We'll leave tomorrow, so we'll need to pack tonight. All right, I said. After I pack, maybe we can go out to a movie or something. That's a wonderful idea, said number 3, twirling on his toes. A half an hour later, I have packed my laptop, some toiletries, several pairs of jeans, and at least a dozen of my black number 11 shirts into a bag. After my bags were packed, number 3 and I hit the town for the evening.